Friday, the 3rd of September 2021. So far this year, I had mostly only been flying on light wind days with strong thermals. Today was forecast to be fairly windy from the east or northeast with not too many thermals, but as I hadn't been flying for over 3 weeks, I was keen to go flying anyway. I set myself the challenge of flying along the hills to Ragged Stone Hill and landing on it. My wife dropped me off at Pinnacle Hill car park and I walked up. I was prepared to have to walk up from the bottom of the hills if necessary, but wanted to try and get there and back with as little walking as possible. Things got off to a bad start when I turned the wrong way on launch.
Wrong way. I've done that for a while, I turned the wrong way.
Once I was in the air, it took me 10 minutes or so to find enough height to feel happy to set off. I started to feel excited about the adventure I was planning, anticipating leaving the safety of Pinnacle Hill with its large grassy slopes and heading off over quarries, woods, roads and electricity lines. Every bit of lifting air I flew through, I would turn in to gain height. If I was going down, I would fly straight along the ridge, hoping to find some lift. Knowing I could land at Swinyard Hill, I glided across the last bits of British camp. And came in for a refreshment break. It was a chance to take my coat and gloves off, as I was getting a bit hot. The wind was quite off to the left at Swinyard Hill, which made it turbulent. The trick was to fly around until I could find a thermal. The thermals were becoming quite large areas of lifting air and enabled me to get high enough to get the benefit of the ridge lift at Midsummer's Hill, where there are remains of an ancient settlement. Some good lift at the end of that ridge meant I was confident I could get to Ragged Stone Hill. The wind was quite across at Ragged Stone Hill and quite windy at times. This made for a nice slow landing. But required some skill in bringing the wing down in a way that wouldn't drag it or myself over the rocks. Once I have the paraglider's fabric in my hand, I know it can't drag me. I had a short break here, ate my peanuts and raisins, took off my jumper, drank most of my water and set off for the return trip. I was aware that the return journey would be more into the wind, making it slower and more likely to end in a landing in a field at the bottom of the ridge. I flew about in front of the hill for a while, landing on the side if I lost height and kiting back up. At one point I saw a buzzard climbing over the field below me, so I glided out over it and found a good thermal. The thermal got bigger and I found that a large area over the gap between the ridges was lifting. This enabled me to get high enough to glide back onto Midsummer's Hill, where I felt fairly sure I would make it back to Swinyard Hill.
Well, it saved me a walk to Gullet Quarry.
I didn't stop for long there. At takeoff height, it is hard to see how I can possibly make it to the next ridge, but once I found a good thermal and got higher, the way seems much more likely. There are power lines running along the bottom of the ridge here, so if I lost height, I would probably have to glide back to the common to find a landing. At this point, I didn't think I could make it back to Pinnacle Hill, so when I found little bits of lift and realised I could land on the grass of the hill, I didn't hesitate to land. This walk up the hill was the only one I did today, and I was delighted to get back to where I had started from, having flown to a hill that I had only ever walked to before.
Hello, I've made it back to Pinnacle Hill.
Yeah, I saw that. It's brilliant.
Yes, I only just made it. I landed on the very lowest possible bit of grass.
All that remained was the flight home to Malvern Vale, where I live, at the north end of the hills. This required going round the area the model gliders use. If it wasn't for this, I would be able to glide onto North Hill, but as it was, I was expecting to have to land in the fields down by the railway line, or on Malvern Link Common. Today though, there was lifting air all over the town and it turned into really good lift that just continued over Malvern Vale. I got right up to 1,000 metres and decided to try a gentle spiral dive to lose height. I landed right by the entrance to the field, although a bit of lift at the end meant that I touched the tree. I slipped on the straw pile as I landed. I'd had a really good day.